Hi, it's Desiree from Quiet Creativity Unboxed, and today's gift tag is literally a gift tag. First thing I'm going to do is to take the wooden gift tag and apply a semi-transparent gel stain in the color walnut. I am applying it using a baby wipe and wiping it into the tag in the direction of the wood grain. I did apply 2 coats, and once I finished applying the coats and I got it to the color I wanted, I did dry that with my heat gun, but you can also allow that to air dry. Next, I'm going to create the gift boxes for our tag using these wooden rectangular shapes, some fabric, and some Mod Podge. I'm just going to apply the Mod Podge to the rectangle and spread it out all the way to the edges so that when we apply the fabric, it stays in place. And once we have that done, I'm going to place this onto the fabric. I'm doing it from the back side because I want the fabric to line up straight. Then I'm going to use my mini iron to adhere the fabric to the rectangle, being sure to get all the way to the edges so that when I sand off the excess material, it doesn't lift from the tag. I'm going to cut off the excess material using my Fisker scissors, and I'll come back in later using my gator sander to get the remaining excess off. I'm going to do my next box the same way, applying the Mod Podge to the rectangle, getting it all the way to the edges, and then applying my fabric by placing the rectangle on the back of the fabric to get it in line with the pattern. I want to take the iron on the fabric again being sure to get all the way to the edges so that the fabric does not lift. Making sure to apply pressure as you're ironing. And as you can see here, when I did check, I did not go as close enough to the edges as I could have, and the fabric is still lifting, so I'm going to go back over that with the iron again. And then once we have it secured, then I'm going to go in and again use my Fisker scissors to trim the excess fabric from that rectangle box as well. And then we can move on to our next box. And this time I am going to use my pad because as you can see I did melt the surface a little without using the protective pad. So I'm just going to apply the Mod Podge to the rectangle, being sure to cover all the way to the edges again so that the fabric adheres when you're sanding it. Place it on the back of the fabric and line it up with the pattern, and then iron it with the heat press, making sure to get all the way to the edges, applying a little pressure. I'm just going to check and make sure that the fabric is adhered. The material is still lifting, so I'm going to apply a little more heat just to be sure that it is secure. And then I'm going to trim that excess fabric again using my scissors. Now I'm going to take the gator sander and continue removing that excess fabric. I'm just going in a downward motion, being sure not to remove the fabric from the rectangle. It is pretty secure with the Mod Podge and the heat that we applied, but just to be sure, I'm going to continue to go in a downward motion, and I'm going to repeat that process on all 3 of our gift boxes. Again, just going in a downward motion using the gator sander. Again, I'm just ensuring that the fabric does not fray and does not pull away from the rectangle as I'm sanding. So just gently sanding all around all 4 sides until we get that excess material. And then I'm just going to go over each of the boxes, applying some Mod Podge so that we seal that fabric onto the rectangle. Just need a little bit of Mod Podge, brush it all the way to the edges of each of the gift boxes. And once you have that applied, you just need to dry that with a heat gun or allow it to air dry so that the fabric is sealed onto our wooden shapes. Now I'm going to continue assembling the gift boxes using this 1/8 inch wide green satin ribbon to apply the trim to our gift boxes. Just want to put it down the center of our 2 taller boxes, which are going to stand straight up. I'm using Aleene's quick dry tacky glue to apply that ribbon. Just put that down the center of your box and apply the ribbon right down the middle of your box. Trim off any excess, and we're going to fold it over under the box. I did trim this first piece a little too short, so I'm going to use my glue gun to keep it in place, but just be sure when you're trimming your ribbon that you give yourself enough length so that you're able to fold it underneath of your gift box. I'm going to repeat the same process with the second box by just putting the trim down the center of the gift box, again using the Aleene's quick dry tacky glue, just making sure that we have enough ribbon on the end so that we can fold it over so that when we apply it to the tag it doesn't lift up. So again, apply that with the glue on the back side and trim off any extra ribbon that you have. And with the final gift box, I want to place that horizontally so that it looks like you're looking at the face of the gift box. So I'm going to apply the ribbon both horizontally and vertically so that it looks like it's crisscrossing in the center. Again, we're just going to fold over our ends behind the gift box and apply the second piece of ribbon. And now that our gift boxes are done, we can start to assemble our tag. I'm going to just line them up to see where I want the placement. I'm going to use some clear Gorilla Glue in the center of the gift boxes with the Aleene's Quick Dry Tacky Glue on the perimeter so that we can get a permanent hold, and the Aleene's will keep it in place until that Gorilla Glue dries. Place the second box right next to the first one. And then that final box, as I said, is going to go horizontally at the bottom of the two gift boxes that we just placed. Now I'm going to stencil on the words Merry Christmas. I created these stencils using my Cricut and some Oracle stencil vinyl. Cut them out on the Cricut. I'm going to use the transfer paper to get it onto the tag. Just going to center Mary at the top, right below the tag hole, using that as my guide. I'm using my scraper to make sure that it is secure onto the gift tag. And then I'm going to do the same with Christmas and apply that right below Mary. Again, using the transfer paper, centering it with Mary on the tag. And carefully removing the transfer paper so that it does not pull up the stencil. I am using Folk Art chalk paint in the colors Antique Green for the word Merry and White Adirondack for the word Christmas. Again, I made these stencils on my Cricut, but if you don't own a Cricut or some other cutting tool, you can always purchase these stencils pre-made for you. There are plenty of places that you can get them. Just want to get full coverage on each of your letters so that it does go through to your tag. And I'm just going to speed this up for the sake of time. Now I'm just going to carefully remove that vinyl stencil from the tag. Just going to remove those excess inserts on the letters A and R. I cut out these little gift tags from some burlap. I'm going to apply those to two of our gifts. Just using some hot glue and my tweezers, added those to the tops of the gifts. And then we can finalize our gift boxes with a little bow on top of each, just using a shoestring method to tie the bow. Nothing special, just a simple bow on top of each of the packages. I'm just working the bow until I get it down to the size that I want for my gift, and then I'm going to trim off any excess ribbon and use my hot glue gun to apply that to the top of the box. And I'm going to do the same thing for all three gifts, just a simple basic bow tied with the shoestring method and applied to the top of the gift with my glue gun. You can always go a little fancier if you want, but for this project I'm just going to again do the simple shoestring tie for each of our packages. And this ribbon I am using, I did get this from Amazon and came in a pack of I think 36 different colors. It's 1/8 inches thick, so it's perfect for a small project like this. And you get all the colors, red, green, pinks, yellows, again 36 different colors. So I think that was a pretty good deal. I'm going to do our last gift, apply that bow on, make sure it's secure, trim off any excess ribbon. And then I am going to use that same 1/8 inch green satin ribbon to create the hanger for our gift tag. I'm just going to take the two ends, push it through the hole, bring those ends back through the loop, tie a knot, and then we are all done with this gift tag. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know in the comments if you'll make this, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.